Chapter 15, Advertising Basics. If you ask a dozen small business owners about the value of traditional advertising, you are likely to get a dozen different answers. The owner of a limousine service will tell you he couldn't stay in business if he didn't run ads in a local paper. The person who runs the resume service may tell you newspaper ads don't bring many responses, but advertising in the yellow pages does. One computer programmer may tell you paid advertising is a waste of money, while another one will tell you that ads she placed in trade magazines allowed her to expand her business from a little home-based operation to a company that now employs 35 people. What businesses should use paid advertising? You could consider using paid advertising if you sell products or services that you can market to people with very specific interests. For instance, all hobbyists who have an interest in toll painting need little explaining, must be sold to many customers to be profitable, or are traditionally advertised in newspapers, weekly shoppers, yellow pages, or on TV or radio. Are there any businesses that shouldn't use paid advertising? Paid advertising may not be a good use of your money if you can only work for one or two customers at a time. If you are a consultant, if you sell creative services like writing or custom design, if your product or your service needs a lot of explaining, or if no one else in your line of work advertises. In these cases, the only type of paid advertising that might be worth considering would be ads or listings in trade directories or specialized trade publications. Is there any good way to determine whether or not I should advertise? One yardstick is whether or not your competition advertises. If the competition advertises, you probably should too. And you should advertise in the same publications the competition uses, since your customers will expect to look in those publications for ads for your type of product. Where should I put paid advertising? There are numerous places you could advertise your products or service. You need to determine which places will help you reach the most number likely buyers at the lowest cost. Among the places you may want to consider are regular or classified advertisements in daily newspapers, newsstand magazines, and weekly newspapers, ads in weekly shoppers. These publications consist of almost all advertising and have little or no editorial content. They may be mailed or tossed on a driveway or stoops and contain ads for plumbers, garage sales, hair salons, tire dealers, etc. Regular or classified advertisement in trade publications or special interest publications. Listings or advertisements in the yellow pages. Listings or ads in trade directories. Ads in card decks, which are ads printed on index cards and mailed to subscribers of certain magazines or people who are known to buy a certain type of product or service through the mail. Radio ads, network and cable TV ads, inserts in weekly papers or shoppers. Classified advertising sections are commercial and private computer information services, ads on the back of theater programs or church bulletins, coupon books or envelopes mailed to homeowners by a local mail service. Why does paid advertising work for some businesses and not for others? Advertising is not an exact science. Response to advertising is affected by words and pictures used in the ad, the location of an ad in a publication, and the business owner's skills at choosing the right media. The weather, the time of year, what's on a page next to an ad, And what comes on before or after a commercial on uh, on TV or radio all can have an effect on advertising responses rates too. Thus, to some extent, finding what works and what doesn't is a matter of trial and error for every business. Advertising is expensive. Is there any way to avoid wasting a lot of money on ads that don't work? There is no way to completely avoid advertising mistakes and no way to ensure that every ad you place will be a success. In fact, some may not bring in enough responses to pay for themselves. You can minimize the risk of costly errors, however, if you remember these 7 secrets of success, home-based and small business advertisers. Know the purpose of your ad, set a budget, make realistic estimates, the number of responses you will get to ads, know how many responses you will need to break even on your advertising costs, and choose a target market and then put your ad in media aimed at that market. Important, classified advertising or other kinds of ads that have no general information content usually need to be posted in specific advertising section, not in the regular message area of service. Shareware and information text articles, sample newsletters, and other text files containing real information as well as a plug for a company's products or services can usually be in the electronic library. Be aware, however, that almost no commercial or private electronic service allows opportunity chain letters. Text on a small scale before launching an expensive large-scale ad campaign. Expand the number and or size of the ads little by little, building on your success, learning from the mistakes. Isn't the purpose of all ads to sell? Yes, but different ads sell in different ways. Advertising can be used to sell in any one of these 4: building name recognition so the customer remembers the product or service and looks for it in the future when the need arises. Get inquiries that are followed up by sales calls or by sending sales literature. Sell products directly by getting people to call or send or wait for a product. Get customers to come to a shop or restaurant. Generally, the more expensive a product or the smaller the ad, the likely it is that the customers will buy directly from an ad. If you want to sell a product directly from an ad, you will need one that's large enough to give the prospective customer enough details to make a purchase decision. If you can only afford small ads, you will need to have sales literature made up to hand out to people who ask about your product service. How do you target ads to specific markets? Different media appeal to different types of people for different reasons. Putting the ad where a lot of people will see it isn't necessarily as important as putting it where the right people can see it. Place your ad where people who have a known interest or need in the type of product or service you will see will find the ad and respond to it. For instance, an ad for candle making supplies is likely to draw far more responses in crafts magazines than in computer shoppers. Although people who use computers might also make candles, they would never look into a computer magazine to find out about candle making supplies. Similarly, while someone who makes candles or design patterns may well use a computer, they aren't going to look for ads for drawing software or computer clips arts in the crafts magazine. What do I need to do about my customers to choose the right advertising media? You need to know as much as possibly can about your customers' buying habits and interests. How old are they? Where do they live? Where do they shop? Where do they look for your type of products or services? Do they normally buy what you sell through the mail? What kind of publications are they likely to look in when they want information about what you sell? A phone book, a special interest or trade magazine, the ads in the Sunday newspaper, or the weekly shopper? How many responses do magazine ads get? Advertising in the kinds of magazines you see on the newsstand generates far fewer responses than most people imagine. Although response rates vary greatly, experienced marketers often find that a well-written ad placed in a carefully chosen publication will get a response of about 1/10 of 1% of the media's audience, or at least, or less. If the ad or the publication isn't right for the audience or what is being sold, the response rate could dip much lower. One entrepreneur placed an ad for $39 items in a magazine that had a circulation of 600,000. The ad asked people to send for more information rather than to place an order. He got about 26 inquiries. He only got 72 inquiries. And although he immediately responded to each inquiry by mailing out a package of literature, only 3 out of 72 people who responded to the ad actually bought his product. Needless to say, he didn't repeat his ad. Why do businesses advertise if the response rate is low? Advertising is a numbers game. Some businesses can make a profit on a low response rate. Some, for instance, you spend $2,600 to purchase a full page and a publication that reaches 250,000 people who are likely prospects for what you will sell. You are charging $19.95 for your product and you get 250 orders. A response rate of 1/10 of 1% or 0.001, totaling $4,987.50 in sales in tax. $19.95 times 250. Each product costs $5.80, a price that includes manufacturing, packaging, and shipping. Thus, filling the order's good costs you $1,450. $250 times $5.80. Your total cost would be $2,600 plus $1,450 equals $4,050. Your cost per customer would be $4,050 divided by $250 is $16.20. Your profit would be $4,987.50 minus $4,040 equals $947.50. While $947 isn't going to make you unbelievably wealthy, if the ad brings in approximately the same number of responses every month, that one product will give you a profit more than $11,000 over the course of a year. Furthermore, people will use mail orders to sell goods rarely have just one product. They have a line of products and use their ad partly to buy the customer, since every person who responds to one ad is likely a customer for other products a company sells. Most companies find that they make most of their products by making repeat sales to the existing customer. Once they start to accumulate a lot of names, they also make money by renting their customers' list to non-competitive companies. You must be able to afford to experiment, however. If either your ad or the publication is off target, you may get few or no responses to the ad. Should I experiment with classified ads in magazines to save money? Many businesses use classified ads in magazines to get new customers, since the cost of these ads is much less than the cost of display a big ad. But usually they are used classified ads as a way to get inquiries rather than a way to sell products directly. Since classified ads are too small to carry much information, people usually won't buy anything priced as much as more than $3 from such an ad. Another drawback is that classified ads may get fewer inquiries than a display ad, and your total cost per order is going to be higher because you had to send sales literature or make sales calls to follow up on the inquiries. If the ad costs you $125 and you get 75 inquiries and you send out a package of sales literature that costs $1 each, including postage, your cost per inquiry will be $200, $125 plus $75. If 4 people who get your follow-up mailing actually buy your $19.95 product, you will take only $79.80. $19.95 times 4. If the manufacturer of each product costs $5.80, your cost of filling those orders would be $23.20. $5.80 times 4. Your total cost for getting the ad, responding to inquiries, and filling orders will have been $223.20, or $55.80 per customer. Thus, you have lost $143.40 on that one ad. If, however, you sold each of these 4 customers another $100 in merchandise over the next year, you should, in the long run, make money as a result of running the original ad. Does advertising in newspaper work the same way? Newspaper advertising is harder to target than ads in magazines, since newspapers are sold to a much more verified audience than are most magazines. In addition, newspapers generally aren't kept around as long as magazines, though people actually do clip ads from newspapers and have them for several months. You can target potential customers through a particular newspaper or weekly shopper by choosing certain distribution areas. Weekly shoppers and even some large dailies will sell advertising by region, charging various fees depending on the number of people in each region and the total number of regions in which you want your ad to circulate. Weekly newspapers sometimes are put out by a publishing company that allows you to buy advertising more or less the same way. You pay one rate for one publication, another if you add a second weekly, and so on. In choosing newspapers in which to advertise, think about the demographics of the distribution area. If you are selling an in-ground swimming pool maintenance service, most of your customers are likely to be affluent, so you would want to be sure to advertise in publications distributed to affluent areas. Not all products sell well from newspaper ads. An ad for direct store delivery software might do well in a magazine aimed at retailers, but the same retailers might not see or respond to that ad in your local newspaper. Can I tell from one ad whether or not I should continue my advertising? Running one ad isn't really a good way to determine whether or not you should advertise. All you can learn from this response to a single ad is whether that one ad worked in the media you choose. 4 responses in every 75 would be a little over 5%. Although some people claim they get more, as many as 25%, to actually buy the product from the follow-up literature, most people usually get between 5 and 10%. For instance, one woman who wanted to start a one-person cleaning service put a small ad in a smaller of the 2 weekly newspapers in a well-to-do community on Long Island, New York. She got no response to the ad. She tried the identical ad in the competing newspaper and got all the customers she could handle. The same thing could happen to you. Or, if the ad doesn't bring as many responses as you like, it could be that the ad doesn't have a good headline, doesn't make it clear what you sell. A very common problem when people try to be creative when writing their ad isn't the right media to reach potential clients, or neglect to give a phone number. People who are most successful at advertising track responses and test different ads, changing one thing in the ad at a time, either the headline, copy, media in which they advertise, etc., until they are satisfied they are getting the best possible results. Because of the numbers of advertising competing for readers' attention, potential customers may gloss over your ad the first few times they see or hear it. Experienced advertisers say customers often need to encounter you your ad or hear your name a minimum of 6 to 9 times before they pay much attention to it. Furthermore, a prospect might not want your service this week, but might need it 3 months from now. If he sees your name in an ad now and then sees it again in 3 months, you will seem somehow familiar to him and therefore more trustworthy than someone whose name he hasn't seen before. He may call you instead of a competitor. Of course, a lack of initial response could really mean you shouldn't bother advertising. Should I advertise in the classified section of the newspaper? Certain kinds of businesses gain a lot of benefit from classified ads or small display ad in the classified section of a publication. Many people turn directly to the classified ad section when they are ready to buy a product or service. That means you don't have to sell them on buying the product or service. You just have to convince them to buy from you. One indicator of whether you should advertise in the classified section of a particular publication is if it has a classified heading, such as plumbing or music. That seems appropriate for what you sell. If you find such heading and see the people advertise under it regularly, you can probably figure readers look for that type of product or service in the paper. The most successful classified ads in newspapers and weekly shoppers tend to be those for service people can't do themselves or don't want to do themselves, or for products or services they can't find anywhere else. Usually plumbers, electricians, those who repair appliance, tutors, cleaning services, rental service, and the like do well with this type of small ad. What should I put in my ad? What goes into an ad will depend somewhat on the size and nature of the ad. However, whether you are planning a full-page ad or a small classified ad, it should be get the reader's attention, make clear what is being sold, build interest and desire for what is being sold, and tell the reader what action to take and persuade the reader to take that action. You should also be sure the ad states how the reader can contact you, state the name of the product or service, and includes your business phone number and a preferably address too. If you don't want to give out your address in an ad that has your phone number in it, at least include the town of the publication circulation throughout several towns. Do I need any ad agency? You probably do not. At advertising agency to create ads for local media until you have been in business for a while and are spending $50,000 or more a year on advertising. Newspapers, weekly shoppers, even some radio and TV stations will offer some help in advertising if you are creating ads for the use in their publications or on the station. Although a good advertising agency might be able to produce better results, your business may not be big enough to interest them. As your business grows, however, you may want to look into getting an ad agency's help. If you just want someone to create a brochure or other product literature, you might want to use a freelance commercial artist rather than an ad agency. How can I judge how well ads are working? If you are running several different ads at one time, you will need to ask people where they got your name or codes in code ads in some way, so you know which ads produced how many responses. Otherwise, you have no way of determining which ads are working for you and which aren't, which should be continued and which dropped. If you are using coupons in your ads, you can put a distinct number or letter in the type print in a corner of each coupon to indicate which publication the coupon came from. If people will be responding to you by mail, you could key the response to the publication by changing something non-crucial in the mailing address or adding something like Suite 5 or Department A to your mailing address. You might also add by using or not using your middle initial or your nickname, using your nickname. For instance, if I had 3 classified ads running for the same product in 3 different publications, one might say to reply to Janet Attard, another to Jay Attard, and another to Jan Attard. How do I trick them? How do I track them? You need to keep a list showing which ads people respond to and which publications. If you have a computer, you can keep this list in a database or a spreadsheet program for every sorting. When you have a few orders, it may seem silly to do so, but as your business grows, you will need to know exactly what ad and which media products the most orders so you can plan your advertising to get the most mileage for the least money. How often do I have to advertise? If your testing shows advertising does bring you customers, then you will be probably want to advertise on a regular basis, unless your business is seasonal. How often on a regular basis it will depend in on part of your budget and in part on the media to which you advertise. If weekly publications brings you good results, however, you should probably advertise every week. If you are advertising a daily publication, you should want to pick certain days of the week to advertise and also run your ads on those days so prospects know to look for your name and number on those days. Should I advertise on the radio or television or TV? You will need to compare the cost and the results of TV advertising to that of other media. TV advertising must be repeated several times a day for several weeks in order to be effective. It also needs to be aired at the time customers are likely to see or hear the ad's response to them. A tuxedo rental store in a one town, for instance, did well with TV advertising right around prom time. Should I get a listing or ad in the Yellow Pages? Some of the businesses get many customers for their Yellow Page ads and listings, and others get no calls. To decide whether or not you should use the Yellow Pages, you need to consider carefully where your customers look for your type of business or service. You should also consider there is a clear-cut heading under which to put your ad. If there isn't, you might not get many customers from your listings. If your service or product can be easily depicted in a small picture, or if you can add some kind of textural information that will build confidence, for instance, board certified, then a product ad might be worthwhile. If you are just starting out, however, you may want to make the ad small. If it is successful, consider getting a slightly larger ad the next year, as long as you can be sure the ad will stay on the page with other listings for your type of business. Will color help in the Yellow Page ad? Opinions different on how effective color is on the Yellow Page ad. Some people say it increases response and some say it doesn't. One of the problems with using color in your ad is that salespeople may have talked to everyone else into buying an ad with a color border too, so as yours don't stand out. Do I need to offer a money back guarantee? It is a good idea to offer money back guarantee for at least two reasons. It builds customer confidence, and it can help lower your chargeback rate if you accept credit cards. Often customers won't buy from a store or a mail merchant unless they can return merchandise for a full refund if they aren't satisfied. Although there will always be some who take advantage of money back guarantees and attempt to return a product after using it, the majority of customers are honest, and the goodwill you create by offering a guarantee will usually outweigh any loss due to people returning goods they've broken, copied, and so on. Do I need to be able to accept charge cards? Being able to accept charge cards as payment can boost sales. However, it can also increase your costs and risk. Securing merchant status may be difficult too. See Chapter 18 for additional information. Should I use the special offers? Special offers can increase your response rate and help you determine which media gets responses. However, special offers can also bring out the tire kickers and freebie hunters too. You need to test special offers to see which attracts the most paying customers. If you use a special offer, make sure it has a cutoff date or people who be who will be pulling out the coupons or ad for months to come and demanding your product at a special rate. Also, if you use a cutoff date is at 9 p.m. Friday, don't be surprised if a lot of people wait until 8:30 p.m. on Friday to order or to walk into your store. What kind of special offers can I use that won't cost a lot? Discounts on products work well. The need to offer discounts should be considered when developing your pricing strategies. Free information and giveaways of inexpensive items such as balloons, markers, pens, magazines, and magnets may be useful in certain circumstances. Four kinds free samples of your products or free trial period or typical types of promotions. Can I say my product is better than that of my competition? The only safe way to indicate that your product is better than competitors is with indisputable facts. Size, weight, retail price, number of pieces, for example, could be compared without problem to show your product's better benefits over that of the competitor. But if you say competitors' products are ugly or shoddy, you could be setting yourself up for a costly lawsuit. The same is true if you say your products are healthier or longer lasting if you don't have hard facts to back up their claims. Should I advertise in card decks? Card decks can bring your sales message a large group of potential customers at once, typically 100,000 prospects, and the prospects can be well targeted, such as all readers of particular trade magazines. Response rates are low, typically 0.1%, though they may be higher or lower depending on how well your item matches your target audience. As with mail orders or ads in magazines, however, there are companies that can make a profit despite the low response rate. Those companies seem to be the ones with high ticket products that lead to repeat sales, and products that are one of a line product sold by the company who places the ad. If you only have one product to sell, it is probably unwise to try to use card deck advertising unless the product sells for at least $40 or $50 or more. You will be following up leads from the card deck with sales calls or additional literature. How do I get into card decks? Many magazines do card deck mailings periodically. In addition, most card decks you receive will contain contact information for the publisher of the deck. Thus, if you see a deck that seems to be addressed to your target market, you call the publisher of the deck and ask for their rate card. You can also find the name of the deck card publisher in directories available in the library. Standard rate and data service directories are among the ones that list card deck publishers. Are there any ways to cut the high cost of advertising? Here are several ways you may be able to cut costs. Barter your product or service for small airtime. Barter is taxable. Ask your accountant about tax implications. Ask for a lower rate than one advertised on advertising rates cards. The rates may be printed in black and white, but aren't necessarily carved in stone. Ask about remnant space, which is space left that hasn't been sold at the time of the publication is ready to go to print. If you have your ad ready to go, you may be able to purchase the remnant space for much less than the price of the space listed on the rate card. If you sell retail products, ask manufacturers about cooperative advertising programs. These can reduce your advertising costs. Do corporate advertisements with other small business You may be able to advertise in their catalogs or have your product literature inserted in their merchandise package in return for inserting theirs with your mailing going out to customers. Trade lists with other non competitive businesses or trade your list for an ad space or airtime. Rent out the mailing list you accumulate to bring in an income. Send an ad or mail or a catalog of products along with every order you fill to encourage additional sales. The ad or catalog rides free with others if it doesn't increase the shipping weight enough to raise the cost of shipping. Tack up business cards in stores, beauty shops, print shops, universities, and other public places if appropriate. Post computer shareware or text files with contact information in electronic libraries on commercial services and private bulletin boards. If it don't have a modem and don't have access to these online services, you can get people to upload your shareware and files for free. Send disc with your shareware to companies that sell shares through catalogs. Consider placing inserts in weekly shoppers rather than doing a residential mailing. Consider doing small direct mail campaigns instead of advertising if you don't need to sell to a lot of people at once. Have your business cards or other business information printed on a Rolodex card and mail the card to your customers and prospects.